Hello, AV friends, and welcome to HETMA Presents Chair to Chair, the podcast where I sit down with incredible leaders driving innovation and community within HETMA, the Higher Education Technology Managers Alliance. I'm Erin Maher-Moran, chair of HETMA's board of directors, and I'm excited to bring you into conversations that go beyond the day-to-day of technology management. In each episode, we'll explore not just what our committee chairs do for HETMA, but who they are as people, professionals, and leaders. We'll dive into their career journeys, the moments that shape their perspective, and the vision that drives their work in higher education technology. Most importantly, though, we'll connect their stories to the themes and challenges that matter most to our community right now. So whether you're a longtime HETMA member, considering getting more involved, or simply curious about the people who dedicate their time to advancing our profession, these conversations are for you. So settle in and let's go chair to chair. And in the chair today, I have Matt Kaminski from UC Berkeley, who is the HETMA sponsorship chair. Hey, Matt.
Hey, Erin. Thank you so much for having me, and hi, everybody. So grateful to be here once again, right after EduCause. So let's bring it in.
I know, right? So you'll have to mind the voices because we've did so much talking throughout the week that we have a little vocal fatigue, but we're gonna power through. So, but yeah, and thank you so much for taking the time out to chat with me today. So this month's theme is Pit Stop, Grounded Gratitude. Set the tone of Thanksgiving and reflection on what's both working professionally and personally, and appreciate the small wins and reinforce positive habits. So Matthew, let's start off by getting to know you a little bit more. Let's start with your journey to UC Berkeley. Like, how did you find your way into higher education technology?
Oh, and you will see that it's a good one. Actually, it was a long and perpetual journey where basically I was born and raised in France. English is my second language. I was a nurse in ER, pediatrics, and labor room. So go figure I landed in the AV world. So here is my little journey. Right after my nursing school in France, I decided to take a break, and September 11 re-inspired me to look into the US on the medical response, where I was able to see that a lot of people had a lot of admiration for the emergency medical services and how those resources are being displayed when it comes up to medical response. And so, inspired from that, I really wanted to see what EMS on the other side looks like. And it's completely different. So basically, right after my nursing degree, I had the choice to either A, going to Africa for a humanitarian mission, or come to the US, become an au pair while I also become an EMT. And I chose option B. Option B got me matched with a family of 4 boys, aged from 3 to 11 years old. And I was based in Berkeley, right next to campus. On my first months, I didn't know anybody, and I just decided to socialize a little bit, and I met someone. We started dating, and 9 months later, we got married. We didn't want to be apart. I had no interest in staying in this country, go figure, because I already had my profession already lined up, my career lined up, friends and family all in France. But I fell in love, got married. She couldn't afford college no more, so I took her to France with me. I became again a nurse, where I could actually employ some of those emergency medical responses techniques that I learned in the US. And very, very grateful, and how things been scaled since then is the fact that we paid back all the money she owned at Berkeley, so she could enroll again. We arrived at Berkeley, and since then we've been implemented for 12 years there. EMT didn't pay in the Bay Area. I had to look into a new job, and this is where UC Berkeley had an opening in the dean's office for just a basic admin job, and I started from the small door when slowly, step by step, I was trying to see gaps and bureaucracy, and I was just asking questions about why and how certain things are being done. And most of the times, people were just saying, this is how it's being done, or this is from the top down, and nobody really questioned those things. But me, I'm wondering if it's just because I'm curious, or because also I'm coming from the medical field, where I always need some type of logical response, and we work as a team. And so slowly from that, I started to be involved with technological programs and some AV and some leaders things that don't really fit into IT or facilities or operations. And this is where I slowly started to get my marks, and until the time where it's been 12 years now, and in the program director role with the new College of Computing, Data Science, and Society, was going to be the second largest building on campus, and really trying to make a big difference on campus and inspire others when it comes up to building new AV methodology, AV over IP, Zoom rooms, and things like that. So I'm hoping that I will be able to set the tone for others and inspire others to just join the digital revolution, as I call it, in higher ed. So that's my journey in a nutshell.
Amazing, amazing. And it's not surprising, just purely because so many people in AV, like they we just kind of wander into it. So I can definitely appreciate your journey here. So so with getting into higher ed, then you find this magical group, HETMA. What drew you into getting involved with us, and what made you want to like take on the sponsorship chair role?
There was a few things that I was trying to solve when it came up to A, getting approval and managing up, two, getting some kind of visibility about things I was doing, because I'm sure that it was some type, I don't want to call it a societal problem in the workforce, but I will just call it like this, because it felt like I wasn't able to be successful in trying to demonstrate that there were other ways that could be better for us to work in, whether it's through Zoom rooms or AV over IP methodology and things like that. And I started to be like, I need to share my story to see if others can relate to it. So that was the first thing. The second thing was getting validation. And I would say, not recognition in the fact, but recognizing the fact that we all are going through this type of situation where, yes, indeed, it's like 2 steps forward, 1 step down.
Yeah,
And so
yeah.
I just saw that at HETMA, and I was like, oh my God, like everybody has the same problem, but how about empowering each other to trying to do 3 steps forward and only 1 step down, right? And this is exactly where I started to see this space, and that recognition where I got the HETMA awards, the Rising Star Award of the Year, and little things like that, along with doing some publications with other magazines aside, contributing to this podcast and being the chair of sponsorship. It's really a win-win situation where everything is genuine and we're already here to empower each other. And this is where my involvement comes in such a passionate way where, oh yeah, there is just so much more we can do together. And because, I would say we have a lot of sources when power comes in when we are together. This is where I'm also able to demonstrate that other people do it, and this is how they do it and where they're coming from. So all of a sudden, sometimes, or most of the time now, my proposals are even more weight because they are being vetted by a few people from the community as well. And so I'm doing the same thing for others as well. So this is my involvement so far.
Yeah, and it is so I when you said about like the validation, because I feel like what we do generally is kind of not really understood by a lot of people. Like even my husband is kind of like, we've been together for like over 18 years, and it's like, but what is it that you do? So it's really great to have a group of people that I don't have to explain it. Like they just know and they understand it.
Absolutely. And this is how I phrase it. I say I take care of everything that is not a computer or a printer or a network to a certain extent. And now they start to see like, oh, a screen, a projector, and this and that. But people are so happy to ingest and digest digital media all day long that they don't really know what goes behind it. And so, yeah, absolutely. Finding a community where we all belong in that way eliminates those not long conversation, but sometimes confusing conversation. If I need to say that in French to my French friends as well, it's even more complicated.
So when you think back to the beginning of your career in AV, who or what are you most grateful for in shaping that path?
Well, I think there are a few things to consider, right? It's how the digital revolution has impacted us as professionals in the higher education fields, where all of a sudden AV is not just writing like a document camera or just plugging a projector into a room and things like that. And this is where I arrived just right at that pivotal moment, I would say, about 10, 15 years ago, where we were switching from one capital project to another. And there was a very big apparent gap right there where I was able to see like, wow, there is so much things we can do. And this is where I was just like, I guess, asking the right question to the right people, because I was indeed working in the dean's office with the executives already. I was the operational manager for the dean's office at the School of Public Health. So I was able to help the dean setting up some of his meeting spaces, along with starting to do some recordings with graduation, dean speaker series and things like that, along with collaborating with central services to trying to implement normalized ways to request those type of things. And so what I'm very grateful for here is the fact that I was able to, demonstrate that I was capable of doing something that could mainly be like a win-win situation, again, when it comes up to resources versus expenses. So you don't have to outsource the services. So people trusted me with that duty of being able to source and scale some of this initiative, again, like just around recording and basic video conferencing. You know, back in the days where Blue Jeans and Cisco and the Polycoms were a thing, right? To now where Zoom rooms and other platforms are really taking off. So I'm very grateful for the opportunity that indeed I was able to prove that I was able and capable of helping them out, but ultimately grateful for the fact that, you know, there is so much things that are needed to be done, and I was able to demonstrate that, you know, we could just be very successful in doing this internally as well.
Okay. So with with the theme of this month being the grounded gratitude, when was the last time you took a real pause to reflect on what's working in your professional life?
Well, a few of you know that I was supposed to be on vacation in Hawaii over the summer, and after 3 days in vacation, I started to have some life-threatening situations where I could have pretty much died 4 times. I'm not gonna go in details, but that was a very, opening up moment where life balance, I really needs to meet something. But something when I was really able to reassess what I really wanted in my career came up right around that time where you pretty much have to change your behavior when it comes up to how you prioritize certain things and how much energy you go into certain buckets. I'm also a dad of a toddler and a married man with a family of just my wife and I here in the US. So all those resources come to either a cost in energy or in money. So we really have to kind of balance the things. And since COVID, again, it was really of I would say, a reactionary phase where you just go with the flow and keep going. But at that pace, it comes to a cost. And I almost pay the ultimate cost, I would say. So you really reassess those priorities. So I started to put some boundaries right there where either, I will start to line up my day, like I would say almost a week in advance. So I know what's coming up. So I don't need to think about those things every single day and even at night. I'm a very big thinker at night. And sometimes those answers comes when you shower or when you sleep, go figure, but that's how I work. So I started to put a little bit more boundaries around that, and I'm sleeping much better. There is less, I would say, fire in the hole situations. Although it's my second largest capital project in a year, I feel more confident now than ever, where I also see that things are working and I should be worried less. If you have to compare my journey, I would say, as a emergency room nurse to what's going on in my life with AV, nobody's gonna die right now. On the other side of the house, I was dealing with a lot of death and life situations. So this is also how I was able to do that. And, communication is very important. I think talking, whether it's with your peers, at home, or in any type of mental health, I would say, situation where you have to talk with a professional. Everybody is vulnerable to a certain extent at certain time of their life. So open those channels because they are very beneficial for you. So this is how I reassess my priorities.
Right. Yeah. It's a shame though that a lot of times it really does take something major for us to kind of like wake up and be like,
Yep.
oh yeah, I need to like take care of me, have that work-life balance. There's so many things that are more important, but we're so busy
The
doing that
next thing.
it's
It's always the next thing after the
we don't
next
get the chance to take that little step back and go, oh yeah,
one.
let's
Absolutely.
let's change our focus a wee bit. So what's a small win from this past year that maybe didn't get enough a lot of recognition or anything, but it really mattered to you?
Oh, I think this year because again, what I said earlier is I decided to be out there and share my story. It's all the validation and recognition, along with becoming somewhat of a mentor to some people who are trying to go in the same path that I've done without the mistakes. And it's something, I don't regret doing because at that time when I was in those shoes, right? Nobody was here to really help me out. And this is where all those frustration and pain point was coming from because I was like, it's in my head. There's an idea. It's going to work. And then all of a sudden to the fact that one capital project leading to another, two, being with HETMA and involved with a lot of publications, whether it's with HETMA or outside of HETMA with HETEC, Edicos, and CDW and all these people out there. It's the fact that it's working. So I think it's not even a little takeaway. It's just like a big moment in my career where indeed there is a lot of recognition and positivity behind all these things to the fact that now I am very content and happy with what I am and I'm digesting this right now. But I'm also getting ready for the next steps. And so this is where I want to push even more, influence more in the industry, but also influence more about the fact that we can do so much more and we're much smarter than we think we are when it comes up to proposals for designs and things like that, and questioning what's in the scope. And because of HETMA, there is a strong relationship happening with manufacturers that you have direct point of contact with those people. So you can almost override some of the designs being done by your consultants or the people that are getting paid a big money for that. And then you can be back on the table to trying to reassess and address some of those methodologies that are sometimes copy and paste from previous projects. And this is where, it doesn't really benefit us as the institution, especially in IHED. And being part of a public institution is even more of a risk when we're being served those things and there is no proper representation at the table when it comes up to acknowledging and assessing the methodology that we might need indeed now, but also in 5 years from now, like AV over IP, for example.
Yeah. Okay. So we've kind of started heading in a direction.
Yes.
I want to make sure that so for our listeners, can you paint a picture of what the sponsorship chair role entails beyond just like I get us sponsors?
Well, it's much more than that, and this is where I'm very passionate about this because it's like a win-win situation, as I call it, right? In one hand, we are a strong committee of practice of about 6,000 members. And on the other, there's that little gap where, we are looking at trying to find what really fits in our, I would say, institutions and how things are working in the other end. And I work a lot with some friends, I would say, in the private sector, whether it's Apple, OpenAI, Slack, and all these people and all these firms. And they have ways on how they collaborate and how they work. And I'm seeing that and I'm looking into IRED and how things could be implemented as well. Whether it's through manufacturers, the big trons like Xtron and Crashtron, for example, or SaaS, right? Software as a service like Zoom, Slack, and all these people. This is where I'm just looking at what could be beneficial for our community of practice A, but also what could serve me in my campus as well. Because that influence that comes out of there is for two reasons. The first one is stay on top of what's going on in the world and trying to see if it really is trendy or is actually meant to work and be scalable and be successful in years to come and sustainable. And then B is reinforce those relationships to have them also commit to us, where basically I come in and I say, we provide the community of practice of professionals that are out there and have a lot of questions about your product, but also you could also present some of those things to them, and you have the right people at the right table at the right time ultimately. So on the marketing team, it's also something that really rings their bell, because they don't need to spend months trying to look at an org chart in an old website from 2021 where the wrong people are in the wrong place. You send email like a Hail Mary, but you don't know where it's going to land. And all of a sudden you don't get a response. We are able to curate to a certain extent, and I don't want to, that's the word I will call it, to create a list of professionals that are already here and are able to provide feedback on products. And this is where also I see a trend in the industry on the higher head vertical, is that these manufacturers, to a certain extent, and I will just keep it very general and broad, don't push product on you, but are more here on the listening phase, where they're trying to understand what you really need, and they can build something for you at the end of the day. One of the example being Logitech. Again, I have a lot of NDAs with them, but I have a lot of relationship with them as well on the program and I would say hardware development on the side of the house. And it's been very beneficial, so that I see less and less manufacturers calling me at the end of the quarter to tell me if I'm going to buy X, Y, or Z. They just be here when we need them. They're going to be part of the advisory sessions for HETMA. And they are actually receiving the feedback very well, to the fact that then we can also funnel them to the approved program, right? Where we vet their product on our behalf, where we can just say it's HETMA approved. And then you work at Educause, right? We were at Educause 2 days ago, or even this week, let's just call it. And you see all those logos, HETMA approved, HETMA approved. It means that it works. There is visibility, and people start to know who we are and what we're about. And this vertical is very strong. So this is why also I call it a win-win situation. So I get sponsors, yeah, but I get sponsors that matter, make an impact in both ways. That's how I see it.
Absolutely. Are there any aspects of this role that, that have been like really rewarding to you? Or are there anything that was just like, well, that was a bit of a surprise?
I think the surprise is probably the ramp-up phase that it takes for you to get to know everybody and what they are about and how things work internally. It takes a little bit of time also to get them to know who you are and what you're about. But what's rewarding is that people are all hearing, they already know who we are to some extent. And the people that actually are getting considered as prospects, right? The people that I'm looking after right now and talking to already know to some extent what we do and how we do it. So I don't want to say the pathway is already established, but I'm here to really remove I would say, the gates from the bowling ground, right? Like when you play bowling, sometimes there's gates on the side. Well, I want to remove those gates and get straight to the strike where, I want to reemphasize the fact that our community of practice is very strong. They already know what we're about. So it's just adding like a little bit more spices into it and going to the touchdown house.
Yeah. And I guess, and also I guess people don't think about the fact that, yes, there's the side of it that we need to go and do the outreach and get those sponsors. But then once we have them, there's also the work to be done to maintain those relationships and stuff like that. So then, we have our business relationship managers that we're trying to solidify that program a little bit more, to try to make sure that our sponsors are getting everything out of the relationship with us that they need and that will help them, help them.
True that. As we scale our community, so those our sponsors grows as well. And so now while it's still very personal interactions happening at that level, I think we also need to normalize our structure and how we approach these conversations, along with how we track things internally. So there's something I'm committed to do this year is to just normalize and scale our methodology when it comes up to engagement, whether with prospect sponsors, current sponsor, or sponsor that didn't renew as well. So we can always be on the lookout for those kind of things when they come in. So yeah, that's the back end of the work as well. On the voluntary basis, where we're still keeping our regular jobs going as well. So
Right.
Sometimes it can be a bit of a crunch point, but we all here, everybody knows. So yes.
Yeah. So building and maintaining those sponsorship relationships that require a lot of behind the scenes work. But what keeps you motivated in this role?
Well, I think it's still again relevant to the stories we all have to share and tell, and the fact that indeed we are here to achieve something, whether it's small or big, and that we have those channels already established to be able to elevate you to the next level, whether it's a small classroom upgrade to a whole campus overhaul, and also the fact that you can navigate through your professional journey in a safe environment, I would say, because again, by the time you join this community, you will see that everybody knows each other. Whether you chime in remotely once a month or you go to every single conference and road shows, you will be treated the same way. And so this equity of experience is also something I'm really happy about. Something I'm really looking forward again is to continue this journey even past the sponsorship commitment. June, the next chair will be elected. And this is where, I might be interested in joining in other verticals of HETMA as well. Try to keep contributing to this committee of practice that is amazing.
Yeah. So let's talk about the sponsor relationships themselves. What makes a great HETMA sponsor partnership from your perspective?
A great HETMA sponsorship, I think it is how open relationships can be to the fact where, there is a problem, you're a problem solver out there, and you're trying to see what product might fit in our portfolio of applications, whether it's a hardware with a camera or software as a service. This is where I found a way that you, while digging into some information, you're trying to see how a small community college or large Ivy League campus could benefit from those solutions. And this is where I feel that the engagement is so important to the fact that you vet something on their behalf already and you are thinking ahead, or you're far behind and you're looking at other people and benchmarking on how successful these people have been. So how sponsorship is successful to this extent is again by the fact that people will come to you with solution or problems, and you're just here to funnel it to the right person. Whether it's through the approve process, right, when you have a manufacturer trying to present a product to the committee of practice, or B, the advisory board providing feedback directly to the manufacturer about this is our problem, we need a solution, or you could, do something differently with this or that. So I think there is like a pretty disciplinary approach when it comes up to sponsorship relationships. And this is how I approach that question, where A is just there is a solution to a problem, or we have a problem, please find a solution. So it's like a double side kind of like layer here.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it has to be a actual relationship with two directions and
That's it.
communication and all of those things. And we the I feel like the best sponsors that get the most out of their relationship with HETMA are the ones that are really engaged in the process. They aren't always, they don't necessarily just like sit back and go, well, when's my lunch and learn? When's my this? When's my that? They're trying to be part of the community and not just those one part piece transactions.
Absolutely. And this is what perspires in either in person at the conference where you have reception or go see them to the booth, but these people also come to our booth and see us. And there is really that, these people almost become friends because at this time, like everybody knows each other by now. And this is how it's just so easy for us to just either go in the chat of HETMA or just pick up the phone and send a quick text about X, Y, and Z. And you get immediate response because, listen, we're all here in a win-win situation. Everybody has different agenda and budget, but ultimately these people become our friend and they will respond to you almost immediately. And also on the other end, you're right. People just don't wait to say, all right, I spend $10,000, $15,000 on a sponsorship level. You guys have a great day. Please let us know if you need anything. I see a lot of the sponsors being engaged in various channels in the chats and pages within the organization online. So, again, it's that win-win situation that we are right there. Bridging the gap and establish boundaries within a safe social environment, may I say. So, yeah.
Is there anything that you have learned from one of our sponsors that has made you better at what you do?
Well, I think when I first started, I was very green in project management, right? And this is where I started to see how corporations work in a very successful and efficient way. I think it's been very beneficial for me to be able to just pick up the phone and call the manufacturers or SaaS directly, and be able to see how people work and how the whole process works beyond just Berkeley and the program management side of the house. I wouldn't say there is much more at this point of things that I've thought about, but it's all about cohesion at this point and making sure that you are able to lead with influence and vice versa, and be also able to be, I would say, how can I say this? Vulnerable to a certain extent where you don't know everything, they don't know everything. So I think it's always like this little gray area where there is a right product or you have the right answer, but the thing is not right there yet. And this is where you just say, well, let's just dig a bit deeper and follow up a little bit later, or sign an NDA and work on some type of features like that. Because indeed, again, like something I was saying earlier, is they don't push product on you almost anymore. You have a problem, they might come with a solution. So it's that gray area where we're trying to have it become thinner and thinner. So all of a sudden there is almost a solution for everything for every campus.
So when you're looking at HETMA's sponsorship program, what's something that's working really well that we should celebrate?
Well, again, what I established what I said earlier is those win-win situations, but also those personal boundaries that we build within all these people, right? At the end of the day, I'm not Matthew from Berkeley. I'm just Matthew. And we're all happy to celebrate together when there is great success happening in the world, within our institutions, and along within our community. So, right, those happy hours are not only hours to be happy, they are happy hours to be able to celebrate together as a community and get together to just celebrate each other as well. And so that's what makes me very happy, is the fact that beyond my name and my institution, there is also a person. And at the end of the day, we all throughout the same journey and we're all going home at the end of the day, right? And so this win-win trust relationship established with all these people, we call them, partners, vendors, but ultimately we all know that if you haven't come yet in person, you guys, please trying to go to a professional development, even near to your place, whether it's a road show or a large conference, and you will see what I'm talking about. There is room for everybody.
And absolutely, if you don't get to have potentially those in-person experiences, you can always join us on the third Friday of every month at 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific at the Higher Ed AV Happy Hour. Everybody's invited. And it's a great time to get to just have those kind of relaxed conversations with a group of people. But yeah. So what are some positive habits or systems that you can reinforce that are making a real difference?
That's a great question. I mean, it's my second capital project of the year. And the first one was a medium size, but this one is a large size. And some of those habits is really about, trying to normalize and scale again, and how we can anticipate the move of our users and things like that. This is just beyond our community. This is more on the customer service side of the house. When it comes to boundaries, I would say healthy habits, whether it's at home or within our community of practice. I think trying to find something where you can empty your brain, whether it's exercise, video games, writing, or reading a book. I think, again, balancing mental health, work, and home is very important. Within our community of practice is to not rush to the airport and go out right after, because you're going to suffer from that. Experience learned with Infocom and Educos this year. So try to take the time to really embrace the journey when you go for a professional development event. And then an healthy habit on a regular basis, I think, is, yes, indeed, if you can join those Friday sessions and have a question that is really for the group, or you just want to discuss about anything, you will see that people are very open and receptive to anything you might have to share with them. Those lunch and learns are very good as well, very empowering, because sometimes, again, it's all about we running through the same problems, and you can really be empowered by the fact that anybody from anywhere in the industry with our sponsors is going to have something to discuss about with you, and trying to simplify some of those pain points that you may have. A few other things is really relevant to professional development, and how you would like to either have a mentor-mentee relationship with anybody beyond, I would say, beyond the PRISM scholarship perhaps, and navigating some obstacles that you may have in your institution or you as a professionals. I think, whether it's through the board or people that you have connected aside in different channels or on the chat, you can really trust these people, whether it's on general opinion, personal life navigation, or, balancing work and life situations. We're all here to help, and everybody, again, that I was saying, at some point will be vulnerable. And so this is where HETMA is here to really be the safe place to be able to discuss these things beyond the workplace, although it's all about higher ed AV.
Yeah. I mean, and I can't say enough about mentor-mentee relationships. Even if you don't necessarily think that you're far enough along in your career journey that you have anything to offer, don't think that, because no matter where you are at, you'll have something to share with someone. And I think even mentors can even learn things from their mentees. So it is, I cannot stress that enough.
Absolutely.
So do you have a practice for acknowledging progress even when you're not at the finish line yet? So you, like with these projects that you have going on, is there a way that you kind of celebrate those benchmarks, or those
Yeah, benchmark is the right word, actually, and this is where you know what you're trying to accomplish, but how you're gonna do it sometimes take many iteration of one simple thing that sometimes may not work. Again, before we started the recording, I was saying one step forward, two steps down. Well, let's try to work on 3 steps forward, one step down, and how things are being done. And I think it comes up from 2 different things, right? Knowledge, confidence, and also the fact that you're getting proofread, may I say, by this community. How do I celebrate those little wins? Is simple, it's step by step. So if I start to send a request for a code and I'm starting to see that there is discrepancies between the scope and the actual money spent and the budget is being an issue, trying to fine tune within those little things, and trying to see that indeed when you move one thing towards another and you start to get some approvals, start to build momentum within those trust relationship that you've been building beyond this project, whether it's through your finance team, your IT team, HETMA, your manufacturers. I think it's very important that everybody understand that where we're come from in, like, ingenuity, but also being genuine in our process, because ultimately, you cannot only be stubborn, because you're gonna get hit back from a way or another. So being open to change is also very important when it comes up to those things. I got to learn that because, again, it's my 4th or 5th capital project in 10 years. Go figure why I did that. But I learned it. step by step, and trying to navigate bureaucracy sometimes can also be very difficult. So when I start to get response from my C-suite or from some chancellor or executive at the highest level, it's always a win because it means that A, they're acknowledging my request, but B, when I get invited at the table, this is where I'm like, well, this is a win because now I can tell my story and then say how much impact it's going to have on the workforce, on the budgetary side of the house, on how your students will be having an enhanced, I would say, experience, and how your faculty are also going to be teaching in much more different formats that they ever thought about. Again, it's just, I'm a big thinker, but I'm also a heavy doer. And sometimes between thinking and doing, there can be a very big gap. And that gap may be because it's time is a constraint, money is a constraint, or it's not the right time to be able to just look into those things. But by doing those little things, doing some proof of concepts and starting to document some of those things can also come back to you 2 years later, indeed, like Zoom rooms, like broadcasting capabilities in small and medium spaces, like designing the high flex setup. This is exactly what I'm doing right now. I thought about that 2 years ago, and all of a sudden it's going in production right now. So yeah, I am super passionate about that. So I could speak about that for hours.
Yeah. So as we're approaching this season of thanks, with Thanksgiving coming up towards the end of November, what are you most grateful for in the HETMA community?
Well, all of the above that we just discussed about. I mean, that community of practice is amazing. I wish I would have known earlier how and who HETMA was and how they were doing things, because now I really see the impact when, I felt like when I was going to conferences, I would go by myself and just explore and go to bed. And I was feeling that little things where there must be community out there, facing the same problems and be able to share pain points and trying to re-empower each other to do better in our workplace and things like that. And this is where, as soon as I found HETMA, I iterated, I think 6 months ago when I was elected, but I was like, man, I found my people. This is something I heard during the AV award ceremony with Mike Peterson receiving his award. It is still something that resonates in me. I'm very grateful for two things. The first one is the fact that I can help people and people can help me. That's really something that really resonates and will stay forever with me. I'm not going anywhere. And in fact, yes, I want to be more involved to the capacity of my time, where I'm not a father or working full time, just like everybody. And another thing where I'm very grateful about is all the this fun we're having when we do these things, when we're all together. And this is all the celebration that goes behind that. So
Right.
I'm very,
One
very
of
grateful
us,
for
one
this.
of
One
us.
of us indeed. That's why our voices, yes, we were very involved in the singing, dancing, and talking on the floor. So yeah.
How has serving in this leadership role enriched your professional or personal life in any unexpected way?
Yes, I mean, again, it's this validation that I was looking sometimes for so long that didn't come because I perhaps didn't know where I was preaching to, and the fact that now indeed I'm able to help and inspire others. It is something I really valued, and also finding mentors, right? Like each time I have a question, I will just pop it in the chat, and people will respond almost within 2 hours. I will have 3 to 4 responses. So I'm very grateful for that. And I'm really looking forward to, keep going at it and trying to see how I can change and simplify some of those things out there. And perhaps, and this is exactly something I'm doing internally with my community of practice within Berkeley, is to be a game changer in the workplace where you're trying to inspire at a larger scale, not only with like one person at a time, but more like a behavioral workplace type of situation change where indeed our ed professionals in the AV verticals are able to be on the right place at the right time so we don't come last when it comes up to building new stuff. and there's budget allocated for that. And why it matters is because ultimately it serves as community at scale, as importantly as IT and facilities team. And this is something that needs to change now. So this is why I'm coming in a little bit strong, but I truly believe in those things because it's all about equity of experience and scale. So that's where I'm starting to focus into that. When Gateway comes in, I'll be like, that's why I told you 400,000 square foot, and this is how it works. So I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah. So looking ahead, what
Yes.
what are you excited about for HETMA's sponsorship program?
I think, again, it's all about removing those gates on the booting lane, right? And making sure that everything is consistent to a way that there is an equity of experience for a sponsor as well. So when we come in and I said, we can deliver this, and that, indeed, we have a clear schedules of things and our commitment are established for the year to come in a normalized way. Because again, as we scale, it's very important for us to be able to do things in a normalized way that is very consistent in communication and also scheduling and things like that. Something else I'm looking forward is to keep looking at the places that we didn't really tap into that but make sense in our workplace, such as software as a service. I see a lot of manufacturers when it comes up to hardware, but now with AI, again, I said it, man, I should have said it, but AI and software-based platform like Smartsheet, Slack, and other people like that, all of a sudden, yes, indeed, we're AV, but AV is just much more than AV nowadays. There is an IT component to it.
Oh, yeah.
And if you add AI to that, they start to touch to IT touch to networking. And then all of a sudden, what works around that is everything relevant to, I would say, business processes, operation processes, and things like that. So this is where I'm like, where are we heading? I need to talk with the board and chairs to try to make sure that, yes, we're not going too broad because all of a sudden it's going to be chaotic a little bit to a certain extent. But there is some solution out there that I think will have or deserve to be part of HETMA as well, because ultimately this is where it serves very well our portfolio of applications and hardware. So
Yeah.
there's a few things I've saw, and I'm not quite ready to share yet, but I will share with the board very soon.
Right? Yeah. So it's all so very exciting. So how can our listeners connect with you or learn more about HETMA's sponsorship opportunities?
Yeah, so obviously you can find me in any channels at hetma.org, or you can follow me on my LinkedIn page, Matt Kaminski. I also have my email listed in various places. If you just Google my name and type either Berkeley or AV over IP, Zoom rooms, you will find something about me. I'm always happy to collaborate with you, whether it's on a personal level or lunch and learns and things like that, even conferences to a certain extent. And yeah, you will see me in person a few times a year to the capacity I have. But yeah, I'm always happy to connect. Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much, Matthew, for joining me today and for taking this pit stop with us and sharing
Absolutely.
such thoughtful reflections on gratitude, partnership, and the small wins that actually make the biggest difference. Your appreciation for the relationships that fuel HETMA, from our dedicated sponsors to the volunteers who work behind the scenes, reminds us all why we take time to acknowledge what's working is so important. So to everyone that's listening, I hope this conversation has inspired you to hit your own pause button and reflect on what's going well in your world. In our fast-paced field, it's easy to rush from one project to the next without celebrating the progress we've made or acknowledging the people who make it possible. This month, I encourage you to identify at least one small win, yours or someone else's, and take a moment to really appreciate it. Send that thank you email you've been waiting to write, or acknowledge the team member who keeps, quietly in the background making it all go. Or simply pause and recognize how far you yourself have come. And speaking of gratitude, I want to thank our incredible HETMA sponsors who make so much of what we do possible. Your partnerships go beyond funding. You're invested in our community's growth and success, and we see you and appreciate you. So next month, I'll be diving into the theme, Yield to Traffic, Productive Rest. And I'll have another amazing HETMA leader with me as we close out this incredible year together. So until then, keep taking those pit stops to reflect and recharge. Keep celebrating the small wins. And remember, gratitude isn't just for Thanksgiving. It's a practice that makes every day better. I'm Erin Maher-Moran, and this has been HETMA Presents Chair to Chair. Thanks for listening.
Thank you for tuning in to HETMA Presents. This show is a production of Higher Ed AV Media. Please visit higheredav.com to learn more about this show and a host of others. The views expressed here are not necessarily those of our respective institutions, employers, or sponsors. We'll be back soon with another installment of HETMA Presents.